Usually in my videos, I like to integrate some painting tips or share things I've learned along the way in hopes that it some way will aid you in your painting journey. Not today. Today we're going to get some rarely seen behind the scenes look of VinciCon 2025. This year marked the 5th annual VinciCon, and the name itself, VinciCon, is really an inside joke where just a handful of us miniature painting friends get together and spend 4 full days in all things miniature hobby. And it started back in 2021 when we were so sick of being cooped up by ourselves because of COVID, and we decided we needed to get together as a friend group and really bring back the passion of hobbying together. And while it began as an excuse for some nerdy friends to get together and paint models for 4 straight days, it's actually become something so much more. And don't worry, I'm not going to turn this into some sappy Lifetime movie, but what I am going to do is peel back the curtain on what actually happens at VinciCon, and maybe overall what that event and this hobby as a whole does for me and why I'm so grateful for it. First up is fellowship, and if you're anything like me, most of your miniature painting friends don't live anywhere near you. You've met them through Discord servers or Facebook groups or some other community for miniature painting and gaming in the virtual world. And this is a way to really reconnect at a personal level. After all, humans are social animals, and I feel like these 4 friends, Uncle Adam, Ben Cantor, Sam Lenz, and Vince Venturella, really have become such an inspirational group of friends that mean more than just the hobby to me. You see, I didn't even know those guys 7 or 8 years ago, and they've become some of my closest friends because of this hobby. And if you're younger, you may not realize how difficult it actually is to make new friends as an adult. And this hobby brings together your passions, your interest, your excitement with other adults that maybe have been doing it on their own like you have for years, and you immediately create a bond. Now, I'm not saying you should be friends with everybody in this hobby. There are some real weirdos out there.
Turn, please.
Oh, hey, Chromatic Warriors. I didn't see there. I'm just enjoying a Bang Energy Purple Haze drink, which tastes a lot like Dimetap, but is better.
See you next time.
And the more you spend in-person time with your hobby buddies, the more you talk about things other than just the hobby. You really make a connection and get to know them individually. And that's why these people that I did not know 7 years ago are some of my closest friends today. And don't worry, I'm about to dig into the nuts and bolts of what we do at VinciCon, but the bloodline that runs through everything is the fellowship, the nonstop making of jokes and telling of funny stories. Laughter is always going on. The forcing others to listen to our musical playlists, the watching of ridiculous funny videos on YouTube, all of these things are happening. And of course, always eating a curated list of unhealthy snacks and making sure every single meal at VinciCon is amazing. Oh, and of course, we give each other shit nonstop the whole time because that's how we express our love. And while VinciCon is a zoomed-in event of 5 hobby friends getting together, I think it is just kind of an example of how this hobby, even though there is drama and there is things going on that are negative, is overall a very positive thing, and that this commonality that brings us together is stronger than what separates us. One fun thing that is common at VinciCon is the sharing of hobby gifts. You never want to go to a convention, big or small, and not get a sweet swag bag. This year, Ben gifted each of us a bust that he sculpted himself and he uses in his classes. We'll talk more about that later as Ben paints his. Vince also gave me a bunch of good stuff. I got some Vallejo True Metallic Metal paints. I actually haven't tried any of the Vallejo paints since they relaunched, so I'm excited to give those a try. He also gave me some Tufts and Flowers by Huge Miniatures. That's very cool. And some Kingdom Death models. I can never have too many of these. He knows I love those. And finally, a sprue of Skaven from an Underworld's warband. I assume this is just because he has given up on Skaven, knowing that he can't possibly paint them better than me, so he might as well just put them in the right person's hands. The next key aspect of VinciCon is, of course, the dogs, because you can't have a VinciCon without amazing furry hosts and mascots, Aspen and Lyra. The greatest thing about them is that we'll always give you positive feedback on your miniature painting as long as you bribe them with your leftover pizza crusts. And this was the very first VinciCon that we were without Penny, Kathy and Vince's third golden retriever. Unfortunately, she passed away this past spring, and she was greatly missed. Of course, the main catalyst for VinciCon is miniature painting. So we each come into the long weekend with a plan in mind, a project that we want to either complete or get a lot of work done or do start to finish, or something we want to collaborate on. And I've found that for me personally, over the last couple of years, VinciCon is the perfect time to start my Golden Demon project painting for the year. I get all that real-time feedback. I get to bounce ideas off people. Usually starting a big project can be overwhelming because you're not sure if those initial decisions are going to screw everything up. So having 4 friends to talk about your project with really helps me feel confident and get that motivation to really just buckle down and get started. And the full 4 days really do revolve around the painting itself. Really, all other activities that we do are either in addition to or we use as a break from the painting. So what did each of us paint this year? Starting with Vince, he did a piece called Red Moon by the Julie Muir from the Julie Muir collection by Mindwork Games. Vince loves to take a scene and put his own spin on it, especially playing with the coloration of skin tones and really leaning into his love of the colors turquoise and magenta, and that was again on display here. He does this wonderful back and forth between brushwork and airbrush, and it's really a dance to watch him work. It's really so different than how I work, and honestly, all the painters at VinciCon, their process is completely different than each other. And one of the things we really enjoy doing is breaking down and asking specific questions about why do you paint that thing that way, or how does that work into your workflow? And it's interesting to learn from each other, pull in, and have the person you're learning from be there to answer questions and give you feedback. Sam spent the weekend doing a lot of crunchy, in-depth detail work, looking to finish his Golden Demon piece for Age of Sigmar single. It is a single Skaven from the Zicket's Tunnel Pack Underworld's Warband. A really, really interesting model. So much movement, so much fine attention to detail and use of texture, and really controlling his colors. It's so interesting to watch Sam work because he really is an animal all unto himself. He is a unique unicorn, and if you ever have the opportunity to take a class by Sam, it will be like something you've never done before, and I highly recommend it. Next up is everybody's favorite oddball in the group. It's Uncle Adam. And Adam doesn't really like to paint typically at VinciCon. He's there for the social aspect. He's there to build models, to figure out cool lists for Warband, to do basing, and to do a bunch of crazy 3D modeling for terrain and other weird things. We never quite know what to expect for Adam. All we know is that he's going to check a giant bag at the airport, the size of like a small refrigerator, and he's going to come into VinciCon with so much stuff that he's constantly working like Beekman on some weird projects or multiple projects. Ben Cantor was the only one of us that worked on multiple painting projects throughout the weekend. The first thing where he spent most of his time on was knocking out the box art for his custom academic bust that he sculpted himself and he uses to teach in his classes. He's a wild man. He, I think, repainted the entire figure 3 times in 2 days. Ben does not care about starting over if he thinks something isn't right. And pro tip, he never strips the model. He just paints on top of it. Stripping is a waste of time. Take it from Crystal Brush and Golden Demon winner Ben Cantor. He also put a full day of work in on his Eldar Farseer that he's been messing around with for his Golden Demon piece as well. And this thing, like most of Ben's work, is extremely dynamic and environmentally lit to really feel an ambiance that most painters can't play with. And he does it to an entirely new level. As for me, you know that last week I finished up sculpting the base for my Golden Demon dual piece, so I needed to dig right into the painting. So I started on the troll. I did a generic wet blend to really figure out the tones and the color modulation throughout the entire piece, and then I really dug in and really pushed myself on working on his face. I think that this was one of the key parts for the entire project, is if his face, which is kind of front and center and all composition leads to it, if that is done to a high level, it gives me the motivation to continue at that level and to pull everything in line with that face itself. One of our favorite activities to do to take a break from the painting at VincyCon is, of course, to do some gaming. And we played 3 different games this year, and I want to tell you about all of them. First game that was played is Trench Crusade. Sam and Adam both brought warbands to play some games, and Vince actually primed his up quickly so he could learn to play from Sam. And I watched along, and it really seemed like they had a lot of fun. There's a lot of interesting mechanics. The game length seemed just about perfect for me. Each game was done in like 45 minutes. A lot of dramatic events happened, and of course their models all looked cool and amazing, and it was just a lot of fun to eat chips and talk shit whenever somebody's guy was downed. That was my favorite part. The next game we played was actually something I can't talk too much about because it was alpha testing for the next Snarling Badgers game that will be released in the spring. And each year we try to get a bunch of games in to do some testing, get some feedback, tweak some rules, and really fine-tune the work that Adam and Vince have done on their game. What I will tell you is this: it is a fantasy setting, and based on what I experienced over this weekend, it is the game I am most excited for in all the games they've built thus far. I don't know how much I can say without getting in trouble from Vince here, but there is the healthy amount of Dungeons and Dragons influence going on in this tabletop game, and I freaking love it. If you made it this far in the video, you are a creative person. So, have you considered creating your own products featuring your work? Well, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Printful. Maybe you're an artist, a crafter, or even just a creator of catchy hobby phrases and memes. Enter Printful. It just might be the solution for you. Printful is an on-demand company, and it works like this. You create any kind of design you can imagine, then upload it right to Printful. Then just choose which products you want to sell it on and connect it to your online store like Etsy, Shopify, or even directly through Printful with their Quick Stores feature. And just like that, you own your own online business. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? And there's no upfront cost, so you're out nothing but a little bit of your time. And that's because Printful utilizes print on demand, meaning your products are created only when someone orders them. Which makes Printful the best thing for nerds like us to make something cool, put it out in the universe, and bring in a passive income so we can keep feeding that plastic addiction. I don't have a problem. You have a problem. Once you create your product, Printful takes care of the rest: manufacturing, printing, shipping, even customer service. So you get to focus on making cool things instead of worrying about trips to the post office. And they've got such a wide variety of products that you can adhere your designs to. Sure, we all love a good new t-shirt or hoodie, but what about your design on a coffee cup to use for paint water? Or a cool custom notebook where you can put down all your paint swatches and color schemes for your armies. And that's just the beginning. You just set your profit margin, let your local community and online followers know that you've got a cool new design and that they're supporting you when they purchase a product. And one of my favorite things is that everything in Printful's wide catalog, from apparel to stationery to home goods, is all manufactured with the highest standards and print quality. Printful is completely free to sign up for, and there's no commitment. Heck, even if you just want to make shirts for your local painting or gaming community or for friends and family, Printful is a way for them to support you and get a high quality product in return. So check out the link to Printful down in my video description and mess around a bit. A big thank you to Printful. Now let's get back to the video. The last thing we played, of course, was Magic the Gathering. Actually, Ben brought us some packs from 1994, The Dark, and we opened them. It was like a travel back in time, as we all spent our middle school years getting into Magic the Gathering, and these were the kinds of packs that we first opened all those years ago. So it was a really memorable moment of us opening cards and ones that we hadn't seen in so long. We also played a vintage cube draft because Ben brought his cube, and that was a blast as well. Of course, I whooped their asses. That's to be expected. But we did decide that we would like to make it an every year occasion where we open old packs of Magic cards together, which is not the cheapest of gambling addictions, but if you happen to have old packs of Magic cards that you want to sell me so we can open it, get a hold of me. I'm not above making dumb decisions for the sake of nostalgia. All right, we typically like to leave Vince's house as little as possible over VincyCon, but we did make one important trip out of his house this year, and that was to visit a game store, a new game store, one that Vince was friends with the owners for 20 plus years, people that he knew way back in college because Vince is old. Anyway, those guys were so passionate and decided that they were going to open their very own game store, and it's called Round Table Games. And I got to tell you, if you are ever anywhere near the Columbus, Ohio area, you need to check this place out. It is immediately identifiable as a place run by hobby enthusiasts. It has the biggest, most in-depth, most amazing hobby section of any gaming store I have ever seen. All the brands that you like, whether they're from the USA, the UK, the EU, they have got amazing stock there, and so many different paint ranges, as well as such a wide variety of miniatures. There is really nothing you can't find if you want to be inspired to paint something. Oh yeah, they also have an awesome gaming area and painting area, and they offer weekend painting classes for pros that want to come and teach for a weekend. Sam Lenz was actually just there about a month ago and taught a weekend course. So if you're a painter, it's a great place to go. And I guess an asterisk of a thing that we do on VincyCon is make content, make stuff for videos like the one you're watching right now, because quite frankly, I want to bring you guys in and want you to see the things that impact and influence and inspire me in this hobby, and this weekend is certainly one of them. I do think there are a lot of really valuable things that I get out of an experience like VincyCon that I think more people in the hobby community should attempt if you don't already. A good litmus test that this is a valuable experience is the fact that the 4 days that I'm at VincyCon just fly by. It feels like my plane just landed, and before I know it, I'm being driven to the airport to leave. It seems like every moment was valuable, fun, exciting, and it flies by because I've really enjoyed it. When VincyCon started in 2021, I knew these guys, but they weren't nearly as close friends as we've become over the last 5 years. And spending all that time together, learning each other's quirks, what make each other laugh, the fun stories and backgrounds of who they are really brings us closer together. And that means that when they give me sincere feedback and ideas or criticism and they push me on something, it means more to me because I've learned to accept and embrace them as close friends. And I know they want what's best for me, and they want me to grow and look at things in a different way. So finding friends and making them close friends built around your hobby can really only help you, not only as an artist, but as someone that grows in their personal relationships. And I left feeling more excited for Golden Demon and my piece this year than ever. And of course, Spiel at Essen was going on this same weekend. So we got to see in real time all the Golden Demon pieces being shown off at the Germany event, and we were excited and got to congratulate our friends that won over the weekend, and really it got me all the more juiced up for Golden Demon at Adepticon 2026. So I want to know, and please let me know in the comments down there, do any of you do your own mini conventions or even an evening paint jam with friends, especially if you live quite a ways away from each other and maybe only see each other once a year or a couple times a year? This is a really great opportunity to really dig into your hobby, rekindle your passion, and reconnect with friends and build stronger friendships. And through that, you can really gain a different perspective on your own work. After all, this is a very solitary hobby, and having somebody there with you to give you their thoughts, to give you their feedback, for you to see how they work through their process really is a great real-time education means that is pretty hard to get otherwise. In my ideal world, VinciCon would be like Fight Club, where there's like satellites all over the world and you don't really know how many they are or where they are. But if you're a part of it, you're a part of it. If this is your first night, you must paint. A big thank you for joining me on a behind-the-scenes look of VinciCon 2025. If you have any questions about VinciCon, if I am legally able to answer, I will let you know. But to answer the question, you're probably going to ask, how do you get an invite to VinciCon? Really, the only catalyst is one of us must die, then their seat must be taken by a winner of a series of blood sport-like duels. Then we can give you a seat. So now you know. Thank you for watching my videos. It means a lot to me that you do. And a special thank you if you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. Also, if you want to support the channel and help me make videos in another way, you can always check out the link to the Ninja Patreon below and see the fun rewards you get, like my every Wednesday video series and access to my Discord server. I'm going to see you back here before you know it with another new video. Just make sure that sometime between now and then you find time in your day to slay the gray.